Welcome back, everyone. Today we will be discussing the Jordan 1 Court Purple Women's, also known as the Jordan 1 Metallic Court Purple. Specifically, we'll be discussing whether you should sell or hold the Jordan 1 Court Purple and why that is. To preface this, if you guys enjoy these types of videos regarding the market, reselling, and even info on how to acquire these limited products, be sure to subscribe and enable post notifications just so you're always 100% updated. Furthermore, for more urgent updates such as shock drops, raffles, site lists, etc., follow my Twitter KeithAdam10 and personal for you. This way, you're always in the loop 24/7 whenever there's a restock, shock drop, etc. Also, as promised, I do have a very exciting announcement to bring to you guys, at least for those of you who have not seen yet. Today was officially the day that we decided to do release testing for Gargantua AIO. For those who aren't familiar or seen my prior videos about it, Gargantua AIO is a bot that myself and my team have been developing for quite a while, and I'm happy to say that the first drop was actually a success with only 16 users, some of them even getting more than one pair, which was absolutely great to see. Now, we're obviously going to be doing much more than just foot sites, going to be many other sites, and it's not just going to be limited to sneakers as well. There's also going to be retail sites for things like GPUs, PS5s, Xboxes, sports cards, etc. But don't worry, stick around for the journey. Feel free to follow Gargantua's Twitter for potential free giveaways for keys, as well as any updates for the actual drop once we exit beta. But anyway, for those who don't know, the Jordan 1 Court Purple released on June 3rd today. Retail was $170 for women's sizes, those of which we will be discussing today. In order to determine if the Jordan 1 Court Purple will be a fruitful hold, we will cover whether they're expected to increase post-drop or even hypothetically decrease, along with how much specifically over specific periods of time. And finally, what type of margin are we looking at for these in terms of holding, not the retail to resell initial margin, but rather just a hold margin over X period of time. Essentially, are these actually going to be worth your time? No need to go over the estimated amount post-drop like we usually do, since I'm making today's video after the drop, unfortunately, due to some time constraints, but we will go over what I do expect prices to settle at once shipments do go out. As of me making this video, it is currently the night of June 3rd, 2021, right after the drop. It is during this time that we normally experience what I like to refer to as the impulsivity effect. However, as expected, we did not see the impulsivity effect when it came to these. Currently, the women's sizes are sitting at just around $212 on average, which is basically what I told you guys about in the How to Cop guide, as you can only make around $15 to $20 profit depending on your size, and that's if you have no tax in your state. Obviously, this is not the ideal cop for most people, but for some people, including myself, we enjoy these types of quick flips for lunch money with a poor margin, also known as a brick flip. Normally, I would expect around a 10 to 15% decrease within 1 to 2 weeks. However, in this specific case, I would definitely side towards the lower end since they are so low already. I'm expecting at most, in this case, a 10% decrease from those levels of 212 on average, and possibly even less than 10%. Therefore, once the majority of pairs are in circulation, the average price should hover around $190. Some of the larger sizes above 10 should hold up slightly better than that though, so if you were to hypothetically wait until the worst possible time to sell these at their trough point, you may potentially take a couple of dollars loss. And if you so happen to have tax in your state and you still decided to go for these, then you'll be taking a larger loss at around the lunch money level within that $10 to $15 range in the negative. But now, with the average price range is evident, let's discuss whether they're expected to increase or even hypothetically decrease after all those pairs are in circulation, so essentially from that trough point of around $190 that I did mention. First, stock on these was what we normally see on a Jordan 1 high at around 110,000 pairs in total, with almost 34,000 pairs deriving from the Nike sneakers US release alone, and another 10,000 deriving from the exclusive access release. Furthermore, the current sale volume on these is actually above average for a Jordan 1 high, but do not let that fool you. The primary reason for this is simply because of the very, very low prices as of now for a Jordan 1 high, which is provoking the influx in sale volume, not just the demand. The bids are also subpar and quite inconsistent to say the least, unfortunately, so what we have here is around average stock for Jordan 1 high with very low demand. This is nothing new though. This is what we have seen almost every single Jordan 1 metallic drop, those of which we're about to go over in more detail now. For example, the Jordan 1 red metallic, which released in May of 2017, initially sold for below retail. At the time, retail was $160. Now we know Jordan 1's is $170, but back then 110, 160 that were still below retail. If you guys recall, you could literally buy these on sale at your local Foot Locker, Foot Action Champs, or whatever for many months. I believe they were even in Nike outlets as well. Granted, Nike now has better economists on their team to protect their brand's long-term demand, produce more accurate stock to demand, and also has more demand for items in general. However, you could still see that there were plenty of other Jordan 1 highs that sold for significantly higher than these. Now, they did increase over time, I must say that. And that is primarily because of how low they were initially for the longest time. That is precisely the case that we have when it comes to these court purples. I expect them to increase after that 190-day low solely because of how low they are in value right now. Not because of an influx in demand that we may see in the future or unexpectedly low stock. We know the stock and we know they have low demand. That's not the case. Another good comparison is on the metallic navy Jordan 1, where again we have precisely the same exact situation occurring. So yes, I do feel that they will increase following that trough price simply because they are so low already. Now finally, regarding the hold margin on these, essentially, are these actually worth your time or not, which is what's most important when considering what to hold, since you can only hold so much inventory. We all have finite capital at the end of the day. So I've already made it clear that these will increase over time, yes, but I am expecting a near identical performance to what we already examined with the metallic red and metallic navy pairs. Do not be fooled by the fact that those pairs are $350 to $400 now and think that that was a reasonable investment at the time in comparison to other sneakers that were available. Although that is technically a good ROI, that is before you factor in the amount of time that it actually took them to achieve that. Now granted, if you were to buy these in late 2019 expecting a surge, then perhaps yes, that would be a good hold, but for the amount of time it took, if you were holding since 2016 and 17, I can't say the same. For example, the red metallic Jordan 1 did not see a doubling in value until mid-2020. That was a whole 3 years, guys. You must understand that time is money when it comes to these. What we normally consider to be an average good hold on this channel by a rating of about 5 out of 10, but that is supposed to occur within the course of 1 year. These, on the other hand, took 3 whole years to achieve that, and frankly, over the course of 1 year, they hardly moved at all. Another point I want to bring up is that these are women's Jordan 1 highs, not men's Jordan 1 highs. Historically, women's Jordan 1 highs do not tend to see an increase in value as commonly as the men's pairs. I know that there are less out there, of course, but I'm speaking proportionally. Although I have not been able to pinpoint the exact reasoning for this, it's still a mystery to me and I'm trying to figure it out. This is what has been occurring historically. Again, what's more important is that comparison that I did draw between the other metallic Jordan 1s. What I just mentioned right now is more or less the cherry on top, or should I say the feces on top, already on a steaming pile. In conclusion, I do feel that these will increase eventually following their trough, but it will certainly take a long time, perhaps longer than 1 to 2 years, to see a very noticeable change. The one upside to this, however, is the fact that prices are so low already. Considering that these are so low, this allows for a much better ROI. If you guys are interested in calculating the ROI based on your own future predictions for these, or any sneaker for that matter, you can feel free to use the formula that I put on the screen right now. But overall, even if they do eventually get to the point where they do have an average good ROI, the doubling in value, the amount of time that I do suspect it will take for these is certainly not worth it in my honest opinion. Therefore, I have rated these a 2.5 out of 10 hold. It could be worse, it could be a 1 out of 10 hold, but the reason I'm saying it's not that bad is the fact that they're already so low in value, which does definitely leave more room for a better ROI. But the prior metallic performances, the low demand on these, and on top of that, the fact that they're a women's Jordan 1 high makes me very pessimistic about their future. I will be quick selling my pairs and taking my $15 lunch money right now, since I do have no tax in my state, and again, I very well know that perhaps 3 years from now or so, these could very well get into that $350 range to $400 range. But in my opinion, I honestly don't think that waiting 3 years is worth it for that amount when we do have other holds that we have discussed on this channel which could reach those amounts in much less time. Also, just a note in general for any item, if you do plan to hold these or anything, first, you should never consider holding anything if you don't have sufficient capital to go for as many drops as possible at your full potential without holding back. If you do need money to go for all drops, sell them right now before more go into circulation, because over the next week or so, prices should see about a 10% drop or so. So there is my analysis. Make sure to please, guys, leave your notions down in the comments below, because this is just a discussion at the end of the day. Let me know what you guys are planning to do with your pairs below, because I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know the future. I'm just sharing my opinions based off the data that I looked at, based off my prior experiences, and I know that a lot of you guys watching have tons of experience as well, a lot of brilliant minds out there, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Perhaps some of you might even completely disagree with that, and I completely welcome that and would love to hear about that in the comments below. Anyway, that will conclude it for today. Feel free to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, or you perhaps learned a thing or two. Subscribe and enable post notifications just to stay 100% updated on all hyped releases. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description below for reliable, fast, residential proxies and pre-verified Nike sneakers or Adidas accounts. Also, feel free to check out Endurance's Twitter for updates on restocks or key giveaways, and of course, Gargantua's Twitter as well for what I was discussing earlier. Last but not least, make sure to follow Keep That 10 and Personals for you on Twitter, just so you always stay 100% updated on all urgent info like what I was mentioning today. With that, I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day.